Alright guys, on today's video we're going to take a drive at night through the streets of Bradenton. And I'll be honest, this is completely embarrassing. Throughout the video you're going to notice that there's women posted up, some of them by the side of the road offering themselves. You're going to see homeless people sleeping outside all these businesses. Let's get into this crap, and I'll be honest, this is embarrassing. Now I live in the Bradenton area, I have a Bradenton address, and it's really pathetic how bad this city is getting. Driving around at 1 in the morning, I see homeless people sleeping outside almost every single business out here. I see women out by the side of the road offering themselves. This is the type of stuff you'd expect to see in Miami, Las Vegas, or Chicago, but Bradenton with 55,000 people has all these problems. A lot of people here in Bradenton are just completely in denial about the situation. I just did a video on West Bradenton and homelessness there, and a lot of people were calling me a liar, saying that this doesn't exist. For the most part, until you admit that a problem exists, it isn't going to get better. And if everybody here is just normalized to the fact that this situation exists in our town, it's normal to us, how are things going to change if we view homelessness and all these problems that Bradenton is facing as something normal? All you got to do is take some of these side streets in downtown Bradenton. You can see somebody there wrapped in a blanket sleeping on a bus stop. When we take a turn here to the right, you're going to notice that in the balconies of these buildings, like right behind that palm tree to the right, if you look real carefully, you'll see right behind that palm tree, when I take that turn, there's somebody sleeping right there in front of that building. And this is just all over downtown Bradenton. It's something you would expect to see in a big city, not in a town the size of Bradenton. Bradenton's homeless problem is on par with big cities, and it's why does Bradenton have so much homelessness? Driving through downtown Bradenton, heading south on US 41, now you encounter this gas station right here. This is the clip that I played at the beginning of the video. You'll see there's a woman standing right there on the side of the gas station by the yellow post. And, it's not like as open in other places. I don't know what she's doing, but, I mean, it's strange to see women, hanging out in corners late at night. It's always like, wow, what's going on there? Some of them are homeless, obviously. But you'll see later on in the video that some of them are a little bit more direct about what they're doing. This gas station plays opera music loudly as a deterrent to homeless people. It's very annoying and nobody wants to hear that. So this gas station's open all night. They play music. They play opera music to scare away the homeless people. That's something that you would see back in like Opalaka in the 2000s. It's a very indicative sign of a very bad neighborhood. Moving down along US 41, here's the Salvation Army. There aren't as many people here outside as usual. There's usually way more people sleeping outside, but you can see the garbage everywhere. If you look carefully on the left, you'll start to see on the sidewalk people sleeping on the sidewalk, and maybe there's 10 or 15 people sleeping there. Usually it's more than that. You can see they leave their garbage there as well on the ground. You can see there's garbage everywhere. A few people on the left side, we didn't see them on camera, but this is the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army isn't free. They charge to stay there. So many of the homeless people, they'll sleep outside the Salvation Army because they don't have the money to go inside the Salvation Army. Sometimes these groups get pretty large and people even fight outside the Salvation Army. But even if you keep driving a few streets down, you'll see people sleeping there. You'll see people sleeping on the left side of the road there. Those are people that are homeless, just sleeping on the grass outside the Salvation Army. Somehow people are under the impression that the Salvation Army is free. It's not. They charge people. And many of the people that sleep outside the Salvation Army are elderly people in wheelchairs that just for some reason couldn't come up with that's well over $15, $16. So you can see here people walking around homeless. There's a garbage can there on the left, and not the guy that's walking, but there's another guy walking towards him. As I take the turn, I see the guy start digging through the garbage can looking for food. Now, I usually have food in the car or something to offer him. I had nothing. But if you drive around Bradenton late at night, this is what you see. Homeless people out. Again, it's 1 in the morning, out and about digging through the garbage. You'll see women sleeping on sidewalks. You'll see a lot of other things going on. And it's really sad how many people are out there at night just vagrantly on the streets, sleeping outside of buildings. Almost every last one of these buildings, if it has a balcony late at night, there's going to be somebody sleeping under it. You'll see here on the right, I could tell there's people sleeping in front of that hotel on the ground right there. 3 people sleeping on the ground there. And then some of the people that are walking around actually just go around stealing stuff from the homeless people while they're sleeping. And that's a huge problem here in Bradenton. That's what many of the people do. You see them walking around and they walk up to the homeless people. They're just seeing if there's a cell phone laying around or anything they can steal from the people that are sleeping. And that's a very, I mean, what type of person steals from somebody who's sleeping on a sidewalk? But welcome to Bradenton, Florida. But you'll see now when we take this turn up against the building that there's people that sleep kind of in, there's a little balcony or a parking lot here. You'll see a car parked right here. There might be somebody sleeping in that car. A lot of homeless people sleep in their cars as well. But you see there's one, you see one person there sleeping there, and you can see three people, and then this person walking right now. 4 people sleeping outside that building. And like I said, many of the people that you see walking around randomly, they just go out walking around seeing what they can steal from the homeless people while they're sleeping. So it's a constant problem for the homeless, that they're constantly being victimized by these people. And I'm not saying that's what these individuals are doing, but I'm saying just to give you guys an idea of what type of things you see out here. As we keep heading down US 41, a lot of these businesses, if they have any balconies, anything, it's just a place for people to sleep. And there's little focal points where homeless people hang out in groups together for their safety, because they can leave one person to stay up watching while the others sleep to make sure that nobody robs them. So it's horrible out there. Bradenton is a beautiful city with beautiful beaches, great job opportunities compared to other cities in Florida. It's not as great as a city somewhere else, but compared to other cities in Florida, great job opportunities, great beaches. I like living here, but, the amount of people that are homeless on the streets of Bradenton never ceases to amaze me. Like, you drive around at night and you see so much misery. I mean, the thing that breaks my heart is when I see somebody where there's 2 people and they sleep on each other because they don't even have a pillow, so they use each other's bodies as pillows. And that's always heartbreaking to watch that, But you can see there's 2 people sleeping right here on the sidewalk together. And the amount of misery. And I do Uber driving late at night, so I'm all through these neighborhoods late at night. And some of the things that I see while I'm out there Uber driving just break your heart, and the amount of misery that's out there. How can so much misery exist? So I saw people starting a fire on one of the back streets, so I go around the block real quick to see what that was about. Check out how many cats are roaming around this little stretch of street right here. I can see 3 cats just roaming around on this street. That's kind of interesting. All right, so as I approach US 41, you can see a group of maybe 5 or 6 homeless people there, maybe 1 on the left and like 5 on the right. And just on all these back streets, you just drive through and they move around and stuff, but you can just see little groups of people that they click up together. It's just for their safety. And, it's just wild that if it starts raining, they have to go find a balcony somewhere, and many times I've seen cops driving on US 41. It's just making them leave from one place to the next, to the next, to the next. I think now we're approaching 30th Street here. This is like a gas station here on the right, or a convenience store. I think they're open 24/7. And sometimes there's a lot of homeless people hanging out here in that field right behind that gas station. I don't see any tonight. There's a few people hanging out at the gas station, but sometimes there's people out there in the field as well. I don't know. There must be a homeless camp or something back there, because the amount of homeless people that I see hanging out in that field is insane. So maybe that's a spot I could check out soon. Now, in front of this hotel here on the left, there's a sidewalk bench, and then people they hang out there on the left. So I'm going to spin back around and see what's going on there real quick. But as I pass there, you can see there was like 7 or 8 people that hang out there, and they're out there all the same. I think it's always the same people too, and they're always out there hanging out in that little spot right there, because there's a bench they can sit there, and there's a light, I think, so it's a little safer than just being in the back alley somewhere. Now this female right here, you can see her standing on the street corner. As I rode by, she signaled at me. Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward. I don't know what that was, but, leave it up to your interpretation. But I think pretty much I understood what was going on there. I mean, she's on a street corner at night wearing scampy clothes and, waving at cars passing by. So that's pretty straightforward, I think. It could be a police operation, but I think you can see another person right there in the corner of that building. And then there's always people hanging out here late at night. They stay up and talk the whole night. That's a normal little hangout spot there. Not even sure those people are all homeless or not, but they're always there. Anyways, that girl, man, wow, she looked like she was doing the job, man. She was out there doing that. And that's crazy to think that, wow. I mean, there's literally women on the streets here in Bradenton. Like, that's the type of thing you see like in Miami or Chicago. And of course, it is Florida, so they can't dress too skimpy and draw too much attention because there's a lot of police here and whatever. They have to be a little bit more discreet about it. But I mean, you can kind of figure out what the business is there. Now, I needed to go back on US 41, but I don't want to spin around the block 3 times because somebody could shoot at me or think that I'm a threat. So I actually went on another back street, which is 9th Street. I didn't want to spin back around the block again, so I went like a few blocks down through 9th. So now we're on the corner of Cortez and US 41. There's a Planet Fitness there. I went around the back. I didn't want to drive through there for a third time because, late at night, 1 in the morning, a car spins around 3 times. Somebody could get scared and think you're trying to shoot them, and they'll shoot you, thinking. But there's 2 people here, and it looks like they're laying on each other. I couldn't really see what was going on, but it looked like they were just like leaned over on each other. Like they're using each other as pillows maybe. I'm not sure what that was, but it's kind of heartbreaking to see so many people out there sleeping on the streets like that. I mean, it's just an entire area of Bradenton where there's just homeless people scattered throughout, All these businesses have to deal with this problem. All these people are out there living in misery. So now we're approaching one of the worst parts of the city where Highway 70 meets US 41. This area has the most homelessness, and we know what leads people to homelessness in an urban area like this. The vast majority of these people, probably 95%, are so deep into their addiction that they're on the streets because they need to be close to wherever they're getting their stuff from, and all the money they get, they spend it on that. Some of them are addicted to gambling. There's a few places where they can gamble. Some of them are addicted to substances, and it's just overwhelming to drive through these neighborhoods and see so many people. But it's 95%. It's not all of them. I think 1 in 20 of these people are people who are just elderly at this point, disabled, elderly. Even if they lived on the streets their whole lives and made some bad decisions earlier in their life, they're now an elderly person. Whether they're addicted or not. Like I said, I think about 5% of the people out there are clean. Most of the ones who are most clean and the most high functioning are able to get programs and get back to normal life somehow. But the ones that are kind of trapped in their addiction, there's no hope for them unless they wake up one day and decide that they want to change their lives. Now, these mobile home parks back here called Pigtown Estates, within this little vicinity of mobile home parks that are here in this part of Bradenton, I think there's been about 6 homicides in the last year. The homicide rate for Bradenton this year will probably be higher than Jacksonville, Florida. So Bradenton is likely going to be the homicide capital of Florida in 2023. The amount of homicides that have taken place in Bradenton this year puts it on track to be more dangerous than Jacksonville, Florida, the state's most dangerous city. So things definitely aren't looking good when it comes to crime analytics in Bradenton. And the vast majority of people out there, a lot of them admit it. It's clear. There's no denying sometimes that you can just tell. And others that are more high functioning or are able to kind of be more, you see the cops strolling through there. You saw a police car go through there. Look how many people are living here on the sidewalk, guys. There's probably, I can see 1. And they're just laying there. I mean, the bicycle's on the road. Look at this guy. I mean, it looks like his book bag is literally on the road. Like, he just passed out there. Did he get hit by a car? Did he just, you know what I mean? Like, he just looked like he passed out. His bicycle's on the road. His book bag is on the road. He's just laying there on a sidewalk. Half of his stuff is on the road, We have a lot of drunk drivers as well. I mean, it's just, pedestrian accidents have been a problem here in Bradenton because you have situations like that where people are literally sleeping on the sidewalks or the road. If you live somewhere else in Florida and you're watching this video, you're probably shocked at how bad the situation is. But the people here in Bradenton, they think this is normal. They think this is the town they're from. If you're from Bradenton, you grew up here, this is normal to you. But let me tell you, if somebody watching from somewhere else, this is not normal. If you're watching this video from somewhere else, go in the comments and let these people know this is not normal, because they get mad at me like I'm the reason this exists. Nah, bro, like, I'm just reporting on this situation. The hypocrisy of these people that will criticize me for making a YouTube video about this situation, they're not mad at the dealers that are exploiting these people. They're not mad at the law enforcement, which many times treats them unfairly. Not all law enforcement, but many of them have a profiling habit, and they're not mad at the counties and cities that don't provide resources for the homeless. They're not mad at the state and federal government for not providing mental help, recovery, No, they're mad at me, the YouTuber, for making a video talking about I'm the problem. Yeah. They're not mad at the dealers who are killing these people, literally. Nobody's in the comment section upset, oh, the dealers are destroying these people's lives. No, they're mad at me, the YouTuber, for making a video about the situation, which just goes to show the hypocrisy of people, that people don't want to face the real problem. They don't want to see, identify, and say, okay, this is really where this problem stems from. This is the real problem. Because people, instead of, it's like they shoot the messenger, but they're not really upset at what's really causing this problem. For many of these people, their situation is self-inflicted. For many of them, they came up through the failed foster care system, which we know is a failure. But if you talk about that, then they say, well, you're exposing, they're going to get these kids put in foster care because you're making a video about the subject. Well, no, that's the problem. See, people get mad at me for talking about these topics that need to be talked about, issues that need to be addressed. But people think, oh, because it fails, let's just not talk about it. Let's ignore it. Let's pretend it doesn't exist because we haven't fixed it. And that's not the right solution.